Hi, Imogen and Dion. Thanks very much for joining me today. So we were really amazed to hear about your recent results. So first of all, do you want to just tell me, Imogen, a bit about how you were doing in English before you started working with us?
Yeah, in English literature, the highest grade I've got since being in high school before this mock exam was a 5. And then in language, I got a 7 once, but I pretty much always stayed around 6s.
Okay, so previously you were getting up to a 5 in literature and mainly 6s in language, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And what were you struggling with that was holding you back and stopping you from improving those grades before?
Mainly my structure and how I structure my answers, and then not going into enough depth with my work.
Okay. And why were you finding it difficult to go into more depth or structure your answers in a better way?
Mainly, we'd never really been taught it in schools because they mainly focus on learning the content rather than exam techniques.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. And Dion, how were you feeling about that situation previously?
Well, I knew she'd pass her GCSE English, but I thought she would be able to get a better grade if she just had a little bit more help.
Yeah. So I guess Imogen and Dion, were you worried or frustrated that the school weren't teaching that exam technique that you needed?
I wasn't massively worried, but I wanted to get it in a way engraved into my mind that it came naturally. I wouldn't have to consistently think about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So then you started with the tuition a few months ago, and how did you find that? How did you think it helped you with that exam technique and structural analysis?
It definitely helped me. Well, in English language, it helped me with the kind of comparison things. And then the question 4, because I used to always run out of time because of the question 4 on the paper too. Whereas I didn't I learned how to not run out of time.
Okay. So it helps you to manage your time better for that question 4 and with structuring your answers as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm mainly structuring more in lit than language.
Okay, great. So really those different aspects of exam technique, timing and structure. And you were in the lessons for a few months. How did you actually find the classes that we did then?
I liked it because if I had a question, I got answered pretty much automatically. And then especially with poetry, I could hear other people's interpretations rather than just think of my own.
So that's a good point, actually, having those other interpretations. So did you find being in a group and getting those other ideas helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what about you, Dion? What was your impression of the tuition that Imogen was doing during that time?
Well, I always got really good feedback. So I always got the emails that came directly to me and then I forwarded them to Imogen. So I was able to see what had been put. It's always a very speedy process. She submits work and gets it back really quickly. And actually, she's only been with yourself for 5 weeks. So it has made quite a big difference. So it's not even a couple of months.
Yeah, it's five weeks actually. Right. So now that we've been through those 5 weeks, so tell me a bit about your recent mock exam results, Imogen.
It went massively up, especially in language. It was on non-fiction, which I usually do find non-fiction a bit easier than fiction because it's factual. But then on the poetry, we'd never really done that in school properly, so I wasn't really sure how it was going to go, but it went quite well.
Okay, and what grades did you end up getting then in those mocks?
So I got a 7 in my lit and then an 8 in the language.
So you got a 7 in literature and an 8 in language. So before you were only getting a 5 in literature and usually a 6 in language. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of 2 grades in each. Okay. So it's a great achievement. How did you feel about that?
I felt quite happy because usually, I don't know if it's the same at every school, but at my school, a lot of people compare grades. And I usually was at the lower end of Englishes, but then I was up there with the higher end people.
Okay, amazing. So has that given you more confidence then in the subject generally?
Yeah, I now put my hand up more in literature and give my own interpretations because I used to just listen to everyone else's.
Yeah, so you're learning from them as well. That's amazing. Yeah. How did you feel about the results, Dion?
They're amazing. She's done really well in all of them, but English has probably been the one where I've noticed her going up more. because she has had the additional support.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive, and to make that jump of 2 grades in 5 weeks is a great achievement, and you should be proud of that as well, Imogen, for putting in your hard work into the program, which also, of course, impacts the results. So now that you have got there, how are you feeling about the future, about the run up to your actual GCSE exams? How do you feel about that now, Imogen?
I'm quite nervous still because it's like the first GCSEs in years. So I'm kind of curious as in like what kind of questions they'll use and like what kind of topics to use. But I feel more confident as in like how to start the paper, if that makes sense, like how to actually get going with it.
Yeah. So you have that fundamental confidence, even though things are uncertain. Okay, brilliant. So before we finish off then, is there anything else either of you would want to say to other families or students who are thinking of joining the course that you did?
I think there's lots of support if you do join the course. The tutors, we have access to being able to just send them a message on WhatsApp, and if we need to, they will get back to us really quickly. So there's good support in that respect. Imogen's always quite excited to do the lesson, and there was when we originally signed up, there was quite a few options of when lessons were available. There is a catch-up lesson on a Sunday if somebody was to miss it, and you can just attend, or if you've got any questions, you can also attend and do things like that. And didn't you have a one-on-one on Sunday with your tutor?
Yeah, to go over my starting assessment.
Yeah. So that.
Brilliant. So yeah, lots of different types of support there to make sure that we're doing everything we can to really help you continue that very rapid progress that we've seen. So it's been really wonderful to see that, really. Before we finish off, Imogen, anything else you want to add?
I quite like it. I also like, well, I like my tutor. She's nice.
Yeah. So building that good, positive relationship is really, really key as well. So thank you both so much for speaking with me today.